I'll just wait a minute for you all to shine on in. How's everybody's all weekend going? I'll give it a second for everybody to come in and say hello. All right, we're live. We're live now. If I look at two of the cameras, don't think I'm being rude because I've got a few cameras here where I'm going live. I got so many amazing DMs and questions from a lot of you after listening to my little live yesterday. And one of the biggest common questions that I was receiving was, could I do a little snippet chat of toxic relationships? And I was like, hell yeah, I can talk about this because I've experienced it. And I know that a lot of people that are listening in have probably experienced being in a toxic relationship somewhere within their lives, whether it was with a partner, somebody at your work, with a family member, with a friend, I don't know, at school, it could be anywhere. So one of the first things that I wanted to say, and I really, again, I dig really, really deep with this when it comes to my course, Transform You, and how to set healthy boundaries when you are in a toxic relationship and how to remove yourself out of a situation like that. So one of the first things that I actually want to share is what I've written down is that if a toxic relationship is draining you, right, and your self-worth, the first thing that I've had to learn within myself and what I've taught a lot of people over the years as a mindset coach is that you have to stop excusing the behavior of whoever that person is that is causing you the negativity, that is draining your energies, that is disrespecting you, that's being very unkind. There's all different types of toxic relationships, as we know, but I'm fundamentally talking about ones where you put your trust in someone and they don't give that back to you. How people treat you is often what you allow. That's the biggest thing that I want you all to know. How people treat you is often what you allow. How do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Do you speak beautifully to yourself? Do you speak positively to yourself? Do you treat yourself with kindness? Because I'm a massive believer after doing the inner work myself. When I was in a very toxic relationship and I had lost all my self-worth in this relationship, I had to recognize the behavioral traits of what I was experiencing. And some of those behavioral traits that I was experiencing by somebody else was what I was allowing that person to do to me. And I actually dive very deep into this with my Transform You course, very, very, very deep. I would go as deep as talking about the narcissistic behavioral types, speaking as well with my resident psychologist, Dr. Mel, also going deep into a lot of the times why we attract negative or toxic relationships into our lives. And most of the times, one of the reasons we attract that is because we have our unhealed version of ourselves, or we're vibrating at that type of frequency, or we've experienced something in our childhood that we haven't been able to forgive or release or surrender. And so with that, I also want to say that taking responsibility for protecting your energy and walking away when necessary is essential to removing yourself out of something that doesn't serve you. The other thing that I want to say with that, sometimes it can't be easy, and I get it and I understand it, but you've got to start somewhere. And that somewhere is always recognizing, is this person that is around you acting in a way that's serving you in a positive way? Are they acting in a way that's detrimental to your mental health? Are they acting in a way that's breaking down your spirit? Are they acting in a way where there are times that it's affecting you not to be able to get out of bed? We all know what that feels like. Not all of us, but a lot of us know what something like that feels like when you're in a relationship and sometimes you can't see outside of yourself. I'm a big believer that you've also got to ask for help. If it's, if it's really bad, I say anybody listening in here that's in any type of toxic relationship and it's affecting your safety or the safety of your family or children, you have to get up and you have to ask for help immediately, okay? I also want everybody to know that anybody that's listening in, I'm a believer that there is no such thing as coincidences. And when you're meant to hear something, the universe will always guide you to what that thing is. And sometimes one of the things, again, that I teach in Transform You is how to recognize signs and how to recognize when your higher self is speaking to you, when it's trying to give you a message to move you away from something that isn't serving you, so you can elevate to the next consciousness, so you can, become the best version of yourself. I also am a massive believer in working with so many clients over 20 years, is that when you start to remove those things that doesn't serve you, you start to see that your life starts to change in such a positive way. And sometimes when you're in it and you can't see it and you're trying to do the work, sometimes things can look so bad on the outer side of your life, the projection of how your life really looks. But I'm a believer too that when you do start taking accountability and responsibility for whatever that is that you're going through, sometimes the universe will give you something that looks like a mess so you can remove all the shit out, so that the universe can give you all the beautiful things that you're trying to call in. I know there's a lot of questions coming up here, and I'll get to some of those. But the other thing that I also want to say with that, a lot of people have asked me, when I was in my toxic relationship, particularly, at first I didn't recognize it. I can say that very, very clearly. When I was in this relationship, this is well before Ben. At first, this person was very charming. And then 6 months in, then everything started changing. The controlling aspect, the isolation, when I could go out, would ring me all the time to make sure I was at home, would drive past my home to see that I was there, wouldn't want me hanging out with any of my friends, would say that they weren't your friends, would tell me what I could wear, say that they didn't want me going to the gym, and it was very, very controlling. And I actually hid that from my parents for many years. In fact, my dad didn't even know. I was in a relationship for a couple of years. My mother knew everything, but my father didn't. But I didn't tell my mum about how controlling the relationship was, because I thought that was normal, until my intuition started speaking up, until one day I was so broken that I thought to myself, I didn't just think to myself, I felt the energy and the universe and my higher self saying to me that there is something more than this, and you have to make that change. And I get so passionate about what I teach in Transform You, and when I go deep, because a lot of the time when you're in it and you feel ashamed to talk about it because you feel like you're going to be judged, or you feel like, if you actually have to take accountability for this type of relationship, then, what a loser am I to have allowed myself to be in this situation. You can't think like that. Again, in 20 years of doing psychic medium readings and mindset coaching and really showing people how to lean into loving who they are authentically and operating from the space of you are enough. And that was actually one of the reasons I wrote my first book in 2019, Shine It Up, that I manifested, that was published by Hachette. And even in that book, I talked about how all the events occurred, how my spiritual awareness and my inner healing took place via being in that relationship. But what's really interesting too is that even when I was coming out of the relationship and I was doing the inner work, what I also saw was that I was still making excuses for this person's behavior. Maybe it was my fault. I did this or I did that. But no, it wasn't my fault. It was just this person's way of wanting to control everything that I was doing, and was actually very insecure. And when you actually look at people, any type of person that is abusive, it's because they come from a place of high insecurity. They don't want somebody else to feel like they're better than them. I know what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist too, and that is very draining. Narcissistic personality traits, even when I've spoken to psychologists over the years and people that I've worked with personally, with not just with Transform You, but also that I've spoken with and that I've literally done readings for, I've worked with as mindset coach with, have all said that narcissistic people don't like to lose. So when you decide that you need to leave that relationship, right, and I dive deeper, like really fucking deep into this with Transform You, is that they don't want to hear that. They're a person that never wants to lose. It's almost like they will punish you and punish you and punish you because they don't want to see you win. And it's really quite interesting. I actually once said to a psychologist, what is it about the narcissistic personality behaviors and why do people do this and where does it come from? And when I did a deep meditation, I wrote what I had received in my deep meditation. And I asked a friend that's a psychologist, and I had said, what are these, where does this come from? I said, this is what I received when I was doing a deep meditation, just diving into the energy of it. And actually, she had said that that's basically what some of us psychologists do believe, that either they were abused as a child emotionally, or however that looks, or in other areas of their life, or their parent always boom, boom, you are the best, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. And it really hyped that child up to the point where they were like a God complex, like the child, like that child was better than everybody else out there. And that child was just the fucking best. And I think that's the biggest disservice you can do to your child. Your child has to learn, obviously, what empathy and resilience, and you are there as a parent to teach that child that there's going to be ebbs and flows in life. And that's the game of life. Actually, that's one book that I read many years ago. I've read so many books, and it's called The Game of Life by Scoville Shin. So Florence Scovel Shin. So that's really interesting. That just came up. So let's answer some questions. And guys, before I go, the other thing I want to say with that too is that when you take responsibility for protecting your energy and walking away when necessary, that is essential to your well-being. Okay. And again, if you're ready, guys, to break free and create a healthier connection, not just with yourself, but also look at removing yourself from situations that don't serve you. Transform You. My course starts in February, and I'm getting so many DMs, so I'll keep repeating this. Like, I'm getting thousands of DMs about you guys asking, because I'm getting my team saying it as well. So it does start February, which I'm so excited for, because there's so many people that are ready to rock and roll with me. So February, to learn how to set boundaries and really leaning into building your self-worth and attracting the relationship that you deserve. Because if somebody had said to me back when I was in this toxic relationship, okay, and I go back to my inner healing, when I was at my deepest, darkest despair, and I didn't think I was worthy of a relationship, and I started doing the inner work. If somebody had said to me when I was in that relationship, this is how your relationship could look, there is no way in the world in that moment I would have believed it. I would have believed there's no way that a person like that existed when I was in my deepest, darkest despair and I couldn't look outside myself, right? And it wasn't until I started doing the inner work and the inner healing and recognizing why I attracted this. And when my beautiful soulmate then shined into my life, it was like the perfect timing. It was divine timing. So let's get going. Let's answer some questions. So where are we at? We are, how do you start to do the inner work when you find it very difficult and it doesn't come naturally? Does it get easier over time? Absolutely. It's like training a muscle. And this is what I teach and Transform You. Anything that you're doing when you're trying to retrain your thought process, right? You're trying to retrain your subconscious mind and unlearn any behaviors that you have learnt over the years. You have to be consistent. You have to be conscious. It takes time, but you have to start with small steps. And with that, let me put my glasses on here. And with that, Ali, it does get easier, but it's about recognizing where those patterns are coming from. And again, I teach that really deep and Transform You. And how they just know how to shine in and give you these fear-based thoughts when you're under stress, but how to remove those thoughts quickly. But it does take time. It takes consistency, and it takes effort on your part to be consistent and conscious of reprogramming. Let's ask another question. We've got so many here. Sally, when you are in a relationship, it's hard to acknowledge the reality. It's easier. Hang on. When you are in a relationship, it's hard to acknowledge the reality. It's easier to ignore. Yeah, of course, man. I was in it. I was in that relationship for 4 years. I was in the most toxic, controlling relationship you could think of. But everybody on the outside, all my friends, all that person's friends thought this person was amazing. This person, would never act like that. There'd just be no way, because I used to hide it because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed by the fact that this relationship was so controlling. This person was telling me what to do. And I used to actually hide going out with my friends because this person would say that I wasn't allowed to go out with my friends. And I got to the point where I listened to that person. How ridiculous. I know it's so ridiculous. And I know people that know me know that my personality is very positive and I'm a very strong character. But when I looked back on my life and why I attracted that, my mum and dad love each other so much and always very loyal. And any person that knows me personally and has seen me on the Housewives know I'm big on loyalty. So I believe one of the reasons I stayed in that relationship was because, I'm being loyal to this person. I'm doing the right thing by this person, but I was doing a disservice to myself. So yes, it is easier to ignore it, but that's because you don't want to take accountability or you're too scared that you won't be able to find anybody else. And this is where I lean in to transform you, man. You deserve a person that's going to love you unconditionally, without conditions. You deserve a person that's going to love you for who you are, allow you to be the best version of yourself, and want to see you win. And if your partner doesn't do that, let me tell you, you're not with the right partner. And a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's the absolute truth. If it's all about your partner's needs and all about what that person wants, and it's never about you, and it's always one-sided, then there's two things you can do here. I'm a believer that everything is healable if you go to therapy and you do the work and you're open and honest. So yeah, it can be easier to ignore, but this is why I started Transform You, because I'm not going to let people ignore it anymore. We're going to step into your power. There's another one. I'm 26 this year and feeling pretty lost in life with big desires to have a good, healthy relationship with myself. To in turn have that with someone else too. I feel like I need some kind of divinely guided confirmation that I'm on the right path to receive things like a family, etc. Thank you. Listen, this is why I created Transform You. What you essentially did was you asked me a psychic vibe, right? Do we have this person's name? No, we don't. Show me it here. Oh, Anne. Okay. So you've asked me this question, right? You wanted a psychic vibe. Well, this is clear as day. This is why I created Transform You, because, by the way, instead of getting confirmation outside yourself, you've got to look for confirmation with inside yourself. Every single human being has the answers. It's about learning how to tune into your intuition, tune into your higher self, and really consciously start listening to your divine inner voice. The consciousness that we're all attached to, God. We're all attached to the one living consciousness. And everybody deserves happiness, joy, peace, and harmony. But you have to recognize that by asking questions outside yourself all the time, you're giving your power away. You have to look within. When you look within, the answers are there, but you have to do the work to be able to recognize and hear what that inner message is. You know, that's another thing that I teach and Transform You. A lot of people say to me, being a psychic medium, I don't know if I really like that word, because I believe everybody's energy and everybody can do what I do. It's just that with that, I know how to differentiate true guidance to false guidance, because I know, sorry, I'm looking at two cameras here, guys. So if I'm looking away because I'm looking over another one, it's learning how to not act or operate from a fear-based thought. And knowing that when I'm giving a psychic medium reading or I'm reading energy, that I'm tuning into the vibration and frequency of that person. I have time for one more question. Oh, this is exciting. It's like I'm sitting here talking to all my friends, and I've even got some Transform You community. Hey guys that have come on and said hello. When you feel lost, this is one thing that I want to say, right? Just focus on one thing you can control, that you can actually control, like a daily routine or a simple goal. Clarity comes with action. Take small progressive actions towards something that you need to do to benefit yourself, right? And also to improve your relationship with yourself, right? Really listen to that. Practice self-compassion. Celebrate those small wins. Like that small win might be you got out of bed today, man. You got out, you put the music on and you shined up. And you know what? The only thing that matters is who you are authentically. And if people don't accept you for who you are, and I can even tell you, even with my own experience, I don't give a shit if people don't like me. I can tell you categorically, I've walked into events and situations and for dinners and what have you, and being able to read energy. I know when somebody's operating from a space of judgment. I know when somebody's operating from a space of competition or jealousy. I don't have time for that shit, man. I got shit to do. I might pass away tomorrow. I want to live my best life trying to help people and show people how to step into their power, right? So if somebody doesn't accept you for who you are, bad luck. God bless. Shine off. I've got things to do. Let them be who they are. That doesn't need to impact you. And this is what I also teach in Transform You. What somebody else is doing is not your business, man. Okay. All you need to focus on is making sure that you are doing the inner work and that you are operating by giving yourself the right love that you deserve, finding peace, joy, and harmony in your own life. And also tuning into your inner guidance, like spend time in quiet, just really reflecting on journaling or connecting with your intuition, right? And also trust the path that's unfolding in front of you. Don't always give your power away by being obsessed about what somebody else has to say and give you the answers, because the answers are already within yourself. Now, I'll answer one more question, guys, and then I've got to go. For all of you that want to talk more about Transform You, comment Transform You, because I will share this. And what else will I say about that? And then the angels will get back to you as well. And I also don't let insecurities hold you back, man. If I had somebody like me over 25 years ago, I'm not going to cry, when I was at my deepest, darkest despair where I didn't want to get out of bed, I actually thought, like, is this it? Like, well, how does my life look without this relationship? And I thank the universe every single day that I got out of that relationship. And you know, what will happen too, you'll even see things like this. When you leave relationships that don't serve you, especially toxic ones, the first thing that the people are good at doing is saying, oh, she's crazy. Oh, he's crazy. Oh, you know, this person did this or this person did that. When somebody comes to me and tries to say to me, this person's crazy or that, but I'll say, stop. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to gossip. I don't like it. Not my business, not allowing that energy in. And it's really interesting how human behaviors work when people aren't operating from a space of truth or authenticity, and when they're operating from a space of ego. And if somebody wants to talk shit about you, let them. That's, you know, I do love what Mel Robbins says, let them. I've been saying that for over 20 years to all my clients. Whoever wants to talk shit about you, if they want to speak negatively about you, then let them. But in saying that, this is something else, again, I teach in Transform You. You can see that I come in on the show on the Real Housewives of Sydney, and even with the Real Housewives of Melbourne. The one thing I always say, you still got to stand your boundaries, and you still got to, you know, stand up for what's right. Like, you don't, you know, not allow that to happen. Like, my thing is, one thing that I categorically do not like, and when I say that, is inauthenticity. If somebody, like, I would prefer somebody to keep it 100% to my face, but when somebody doesn't tell the truth and isn't operating from a space of authenticity and is creating narratives or storylines, and I'm just saying in life, this just doesn't even have to be in a show. This is in life. That is something that that I'm still working on as a human being. You know, I'm still a human being. We're always consciously, you know, having to evolve. And I can see from a mile away when somebody wants something from somebody, but, you know, we'll put on a nice face and go, well, I really love this from you. Well, are you asking me how am I? Are you interested in seeing me win? Or is this about a one-sided relationship or friendship? So with that, guys, Transform You starts in February, which isn't long. Oh, there's so many people that signed up. I can't wait, guys. I'm going to answer one more question before I go. Here we go. Okay. D. I've stumbled upon a spiritual journey in the past year and now feel lost. I can be present, but can't figure out what my next steps should be. How do I tune into my soul? You already know what your next steps are. Your energy tells you. You know what to do. It's about taking small progressive steps towards that goal, girl. Trusting your intuition, you know, learning how to quiet your mind and doing breath work. I do, and I might come back on the live tomorrow. I do three meditations a day. Actually, I will come back on my live tomorrow and talk about that. So, you know, really just fine tuning your intuition. And again, I'll go deeper into this. I'm going to come back on here tomorrow and talk about meditations. Helen, I can't wait to see you on Housewives of Sydney. Oh, thanks, girl. Great advice. Louise, Leanne, Transform You. Oh, thank you, beautiful. Get some friends onto that. Emma, hi, beautiful. Jackie, there's so many of you come on here. I just love you all. And I'm going to go now. I love your words, adore you. Thank you, Lisa. Miss the Melbourne girls so much. Love you on TV. This is Braden Kay. Oh, thank you. The Real Housewives of Melbourne. Look, I love Real Housewives of Sydney. All the ladies were very welcoming, but come on, we know where it's at. Housewives, I miss the Gina G. I miss everybody, actually, to be fair. We all know how to have a great laugh. All right, I'm going to see all of you guys tomorrow. Transform You starts February, and I can't wait to dig deeper with you guys. Love yous.